A Silent Voice is a Japanese animated drama film of 2016 which follows Shoko Nishimiya, a school student who has impaired hearing ability. After getting tormented by her classmates, especially by Shoya Ishida, Shoku transfers to a new school. Soon after that, Shoya is disliked and bullied, and eventually ends up having no friends or social life. Years later, he decides to make amends with Shoko. The movie starts with a high school student, Shoya Ishida, conducting all the tasks that he has written on his calendar, like quitting his part-time job, withdrawing all his savings, and repaying all his debts. He is doing so as he wants to commit suicide, so he ends up at a bridge and attempts to jump from it. But at the last minute, he's interrupted by a firework and ends up changing his mind and deciding to set himself on a path of redemption. The scene goes to flashback when Shoya is a 6th grader, an elementary school student, full of life, and a very mischievous bully. He, along with 2 of his friends, Shimada and Hirose, are always together messing around at the school and playing video games at home. One day, a new classmate enters Shoya's class and the teacher asks her to give her introduction. After an awkward silence, the girl opens her bag and takes out her communication book. She opens it and shows the class the messages written on it. Her name is Shoko Nishimiya, and she happens to be deaf. The entire class is astonished to know this. During the lunch break, a girl named Miki introduces herself to Shoko, whereas another girl, Ueno, mocks Shoko by asking her if she knows Japanese. During the music class, Shoko interrupts the teacher when she starts singing at the wrong time, so her classmate, Miki, politely guides her by telling her that she is going too fast. Next, during the reading class, when Shoko finishes reading at her pace, which is equivalent to that of a child, Shoya mocks her by imitating her, but it remains unbeknown to Shoko as she can't hear it. Later, while playing in a park, Shoya asks Shoko that she should try to be smart or else she will remain an outcast. But Shoko is unable to hear him and tries to ask him to be her friend in sign language. Shoya is unable to understand her, and out of frustration, he throws dirt on Shoko's face. The next day, in the special education class, the teacher introduces a new lesson where the students will get to learn sign language to better understand Shoko. Ueno is bummed to know that she will have to learn a new language just for the sake of Shoko, but another girl named Sahara is happy to learn it. Ueno, who dislikes Shoko, keeps ignoring her despite Shoko's efforts to befriend her. Despite being nice to everyone, Shoko ends up being an easy target to bully in the class. One day, Ueno asks Shoko to show her the hearing aid. Shoko gives it to her, not suspecting that Ueno will give it to Shoya. Shoya throws the hearing aid out of the window into a dustbin. He keeps on bullying Shoko by screaming at her head, pushing her in the corridors, and showering her with water. One day, Shoya pulls Shoko's hearing aid from her ears, causing her ears to bleed, due to which Shoko is punished. Despite being in the wrong, Shoya is rude to Shoko when she apologizes to him and offers to be his friend. Shoya does not understand what Shoko is trying to say, so Shoko holds his hand. This infuriates Shoya, and he throws Shoko's conversation notebook in the water. When Shoya is leaving with his friends, he sees Shoko fetching her notebook from the water. The scene cuts to Shoya in the water, who has been thrown in by his friends. Through a flashback scene, we see that Shoko is absent from school. The principal arrives in the class informing the students that Shoko's mother has reported about Shoko being bullied in the school as 8 of her expensive hearing aids have gone missing. The class teacher reveals that the bully is none other than Shoya and starts inquiring the class about his behavior. Everyone speaks against Shoya, including his best friends, who were also involved in bullying Shoko. Shoya defends himself and blames Ueno and Miki for misbehaving with Shoko. Miki starts crying and refuses to take the blame. The scene goes back to when Shoya is in the water where he finds Shoko's notebook. He reads through it only to discover that people treat Shoko horribly despite Shoko's kindness. Shoya returns home only to find his mother furious at him for causing trouble in the school. She asks him to get ready as they are about to go meet Shoko and her family. On their way, Shoya's mother stops by a bank to withdraw her hard-earned money and then gives it to Shoko's mother to compensate for the cost of the hearing aids that Shoya broke. She apologizes to Shoko's mother and tries to call Shoya to apologize as well, but Shoko's mother stops her. A moment later, Shoya sees Shoko in the park feeding the birds. After a while, Shoya's mother comes to take him, and then he notices her ear bleeding. Now onward, everyone starts berating and bullying Shoya in the school. He is singled out and has no friends to talk to. One day, Shoko tries to be nice to him and starts erasing the bad things the classmates wrote about him on his desk. But seeing her kindness, Shoya loses his cool and starts attacking her. This time, Shoko does not hold back and fights back. The next day, the class teacher informs the class that Shoko has been transferred to another school. The scene cuts to the present where Shoya goes to meet Shoko at the Sign Language Center. When Shoya introduces himself to Shoko, she feels emotional and runs away. Shoya chases her and returns her the conversation notebook that he threw in the water when they were in elementary school. He communicates with Shoko in sign language that he has learned over the years, and Shoko is shocked by it. He then starts panicking and asks her to be friends with him, just as Shoko asked him when they were in the school. Suddenly, Shoya realizes that Shoko used to make the same sign while they were in the school and understands that she always wanted to befriend him. The next day, Shoya wakes up and his mother is very happy with him for giving her all his earnings. But all of a sudden, she bursts into Shoya for trying to commit suicide. Shoya is surprised to know that his mother is aware of his suicide attempt. She elucidates that she found out about his suicide attempt after seeing his room vacant, his phone out of service, and his calendar pages torn for the upcoming months. She threatens to burn away all his money if he tries to kill himself again. Shoya apologizes to her and promises that he will never attempt suicide again. Despite Shoya's apology, his mother mistakenly burns away all the money. Later, while riding on his bike to high school, Shoya remembers his time in middle school when he was singled out for being a bully. Whatever he did with others returned back to him, making him realize that he has to take responsibility for what he did. Finally, he reaches his school where he is a depressed loner who is unable to look others in the eyes and imagines an X mark on people's faces. During break time, Shoya keeps thinking about whether or not he should go to meet Shoko. He returns home and finds his mother apologizing to him for burning his money. The next day, Shoya sees a boy, Nagatsuka, being bullied for his bike. Shoya protects him from the bully and gives the bully his own bike. On his way back home, he finds a bakery coupon and decides to redeem it so he can meet Shoko and give her the bread. After buying a loaf of bread, he goes to meet Shoko, but Shoko's friend lies to him that Shoko is not in the class. Dejected, Shoya leaves the school and finds Nagatsuka, who has brought Shoya's bike back. Then onward, the two of them become friends and start spending time together. Sometime later, Shoya again goes to meet Shoko and is stopped by the same boy named Yuzuru, who calls himself Shoko's boyfriend. Just then, Nagatsuka appears and starts beating the boy, and at last, Shoya gets to meet Shoko. Yuzuru watches Shoya and Shoko from afar through his camera and interrupts their conversation as he knows sign language. All of a sudden, Shoko's notebook falls into the river and both of them jump in to retrieve it. Yuzuru takes a photo of Shoya jumping in and posts it online to get revenge on him, eventually leading to Shoya getting suspended as jumping in the river is prohibited. Later, Shoya goes to a park to pick up his younger sister and finds Yuzuru there, who has run away from home. So, Shoya brings him to stay at his house. However, late at night, Yuzuru leaves the house. Shoya follows him only to find that Yuzuru left the house due to an argument that he had with Shoko. Yuzuru then reveals that he is not Shoku's boyfriend, but her little sister. She knew about Shoya bullying her sister in the past, so she wanted to protect her. But after seeing that Shoya has become a kind person, Yuzuru and Shoya make up and become friends. However, Yuzuru's mother slaps Shoya after seeing him with her daughter. She hasn't forgiven him yet. Next, Shoko tells Shoya that she wants to meet Sahara, her elementary school friend. Shoya asks Miki about Sahara and finds out that she studies at Ueno's school. So Shoya, along with Shoko, Yuzuru, and Nagatsuka, board a train to go meet Sahara. Shoko thanks Shoya through a text message for helping her reunite with Sahara. Soon, they meet Sahara, and both the friends catch up after a long time. Shoya encounters Ueno distributing coupons for a club. In hopes to reunite Shoko with Ueno too, Shoya takes an attempt but fails when Ueno hides from him. Meanwhile, Shoko is seen at the doctor's office with her grandmother and seems depressed. Shoya delivers a cat pouch that he got from the club to Shoku through Yuzuru. The next day, Ueno suddenly appears behind Shoya on his bike and asks him to hang out with her. She belittles Shoko, which infuriates Shoya, and he asks her to get off his bike immediately. Ueno then tries to bully Shoko by taking her hearing aid, and Shoya restrains Ueno from doing so. The next day, Shoko changes her hairstyle into a ponytail, and Shoya is surprised to see her. They meet on a bridge where she gives Shoya a gift and tries to say "I love you," but Shoya mishears her and thinks she said "I love Moon." Unable to convey her feelings by speaking, Shoko is heartbroken and leaves. Later at school, Shoya notices Miki in a new hairstyle and quickly asks her about why girls change their hairstyles. Miki tells him that girls do it for someone special. She then introduces Shoya to her friend, Mishiba, who wants to befriend him. Shoya tells Yuzuru that Shoku wanted to tell him something desperately, but he did not understand what she was trying to say. Yuzuru advises Shoya to invite Shoku anywhere to see whether or not she is mad at him. So, Shoya makes a plan for an amusement park trip where they're joined by Nagatsuka, Miki, Mishiba, Yuzuru, and Sahara. Even Ueno is there, who tries to be friends with Shoko. The group enjoy themselves a lot after taking many rides. Ueno then asks Shoya to get her something to eat. When Shoya goes to buy it, he meets his elementary school friend, Shimada, and is shocked to see him after so long. Shoya is mad at Ueno for trying to have him make amends with Shimada. After being ignored by Shoya, Ueno takes Shoko to a Ferris wheel ride, where she expresses her hatred for Shoko and says that if she had not come to their school, everything would have been better. Taking advantage of no one being around them, she blames Shoko for creating a gap between her and Shoya. But luckily, Yuzuru had secretly recorded their conversation, and later she shows the video to Shoya. The next day, Mishiba asks Shoya if Ueno really bullied Shoko in middle school. He later finds out that Miki had told Mishiba about how Ueno used to bully Shoko for being deaf. Afraid that his class will find out he too used to be a bully, he asks Miki to keep it a secret, but Miki instead gets offended by it. She accuses Shoya of not being a changed person and angrily exposes Shoya's past to the entire classroom. Later, she tries to apologize to Shoya, but wants to remain blameless on her part even though she never tried to stop everyone from bullying Shoko. Shoya is devastated and blames himself for everything, blowing everyone off except for Shoko. Summer vacations start, and one day, when Shoya is feeding bread to the birds on a bridge, Yuzuru joins him. Later, he drops Yuzuru by her home, only to find that her grandmother died recently. The next day, Shoya takes Shoko to the countryside to cheer her up and sees that Shoko blames herself for everything that's happened to him. However, Shoya thinks the other way around and then onward starts spending more and more time with Shoko and Yuzuru, eventually taking place in Shoko's mother's heart. One night, while watching fireworks together, Shoko goes home after saying that she wants to finish her homework. Shoya follows when Yuzuru asks him to get her camera. When he arrives, he finds Shoko standing on the balcony, about to commit suicide. Shoya succeeds in grabbing her and pulls her back up, but falls into the river below. He is rescued but slips into a coma. In the hospital, Shoko's mother apologizes to Shoya's mother on behalf of her daughter. Ueno beats Shoko for leading Shoya to this condition and is stopped by Shoya's mother. The next day, Ueno does not let Shoko meet Shoya. Shoko is devastated and tells Nagatsuka that she wants to help Shoya fix up what she destroyed. Shoko then meets with each of the group members to explain her and Shoya's situations to revive their friendship. After that, one night Shoko dreams about receiving a farewell visit from Shoya. Dismayed, she runs to the bridge and bursts into tears. Suddenly, Shoya awakes from his coma and runs to the bridge to find Shoko. Upon seeing Shoko, he falls to his knees and starts apologizing to her for the way he treated her in the past. Moreover, he asks her to stop blaming herself and admits that, while he once tried killing himself, he has since decided not to do it again. He then asks her to help him continue to live his life, and Shoko happily agrees. Finally, Shoya is discharged from the hospital and goes home only to find Ueno waiting for him. Ueno tells Shoya that Shimada was the one who rescued him from the river. Shoya returns home and sees Shoko's mom getting a haircut from his mother, and is relieved by the fact that everything is settled now. The next day, Shoya returns to school and everyone keeps looking at him strangely. As he is about to enter his class, he feels nervous and leaves. Nagatsuka chases him and hugs him tightly, making him realize how much he still cares for him. He then reunites with other friends and is relieved to see that everyone loves him. Shoya then goes to the school festival and is finally able to look everyone in the eye as he stops envisioning the X mark on their faces. The film ends with Shoya bursting into tears after realizing that he has finally become a better person. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to leave a like and comment your thoughts down below. If you'd like to stick around, check out these other videos from the channel. And before you leave, make sure to subscribe to the channel for more anime in minutes.